Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself arriving at a message, a moment, or a new idea right when you most needed it, but you can't quite explain how you ended up there? Some people call it coincidence. Others call it luck. But if you're honest, somewhere deep down, it feels like more than chance. It feels like a pattern, like you were meant to be here, now, in front of this exact message. This is quantum manifestation in action, though not in the way you might expect. It's not about wishful thinking or chasing signs. It's about a deeper current, an alignment of frequency, quietly shaping your experience long before you ever realized it was happening. Maybe you clicked this video on impulse. Maybe it just appeared, almost out of nowhere, as if the algorithm itself was conspiring in your favor. But what if that pull you felt was actually a signal your own subconscious, or even your body, recognizing that something here matters? You might not see it yet, but right now, even as you watch, micro shifts are happening inside you. Neural circuits are firing in anticipation. Your nervous system is preparing for insight, for change, for some piece of truth that fits your exact place in this timeline. Science calls this priming, the way the brain readies itself for new patterns of thought, new possibilities, even before you've consciously chosen them. The field of quantum manifestation isn't just out there. It's alive within you, activating as you pay attention. There's a reason you didn't scroll past. There's a reason you're hearing these words right now, and it isn't random. What if the next few minutes contained the pattern, interrupt the precise idea or strategy you've been circling around, but never quite landing? What if this is your inflection point, where things quietly but unmistakably begin to shift? That's the question I want you to hold. Let it stay unanswered, just for now, because the truth is often revealed, not at the start, but by the way you feel at the end. And if you resonate with insights like these, grounded, evidence-based, but never surface level, subscribe to this channel. Here, you'll find the patterns behind the patterns, and the science beneath the synchronicity. Welcome. You didn't find this by accident. Let's disrupt a myth most people still quietly believe, even if they talk about quantum manifestation, positive thinking, or changing your vibration. The idea goes something like this. If I just learn enough, prepare enough, get my mindset perfect, then I'll be ready to create the reality I want. The paradox is that neuroscience and quantum physics both reveal something radically different. The brain is designed for survival first, not expansion. Its deepest wiring isn't about possibility, it's about prediction, safety, and preserving the status quo. Your subconscious mind, the seat of your habits and emotional programming, runs nearly 95% of your daily actions and reactions. That means most of your life is shaped by silent, automatic choices, not conscious, deliberate ones. Research from the National Science Foundation shows that the average person has up to 60,000 thoughts per day, and nearly 95% of them are exactly the same as yesterday's. In other words, your default setting is to relive the familiar unless you disrupt it. The quantum field doesn't respond to the words you say or the vision board on your wall. It's tuned to the electromagnetic signature you emit, which is a composite of your emotional state and your habitual focus. The illusion is that you're preparing to change, when in fact, your brain is rehearsing the past, again and again, under the surface. Here's where the paradox intensifies. The more you wait for a perfect moment when you feel completely ready, when you're sure of success, when all doubts are gone, the more your neural circuitry is wiring in hesitation as your new baseline. The act of waiting becomes a habit, a frequency, a signal the quantum field reads as more of the same. You might think you're being logical, but your subconscious is expertly preserving your current reality. This is why quantum manifestation often feels mysterious or unattainable, because effort alone can't override a lifetime of subconscious repetition. Let that sink in for a moment. The real block to change isn't lack of information, or even lack of intention. It's the unchallenged programming, the invisible neural and energetic loop that runs the show when you aren't fully present. Quantum manifestation, in this light, isn't about trying harder. It's about becoming conscious of the pattern you're actually broadcasting. So, if you've ever felt stuck, despite doing everything right, you're not failing. You're just playing by a set of rules you never consciously agreed to. Let's pause and get honest about time. Every moment you spend searching for the right strategy, waiting for a wave of certainty, or double-checking if now is the right moment, time is still moving. The quantum field, the very fabric of possibility, doesn't pause and wait for our readiness. It simply reflects back the sum total of what we're being right now. This is a quiet urgency that's easy to miss because it rarely shouts. It shows up as a whisper. Not yet. Maybe tomorrow. Let me think a little longer. But what most don't realize is that every micro decision, every time you choose to delay or hesitate, sets the trajectory of your future in motion. Many who follow this channel are aware of the idea that quantum manifestation is about frequency, not force. But what's less obvious is how the habit of postponement becomes a kind of energetic signature. Imagine two paths stretching out before you. On one, you step forward, even imperfectly. On the other, you wait for certainty, for external validation, for all the stars to align. The difference isn't about outcome at first. It's about momentum. One path builds it, the other quietly dissolves it. Neuroscience gives us the map. Our brains, through a process called myelination, strengthen whatever neural pathways we repeat regardless of whether those patterns serve us. So, the person who consistently acts, even in uncertainty, wires their brain and nervous system for resilience, adaptability, and what we often call luck. The one who hesitates is training their system for more hesitation, more anxiety, more craving for perfect conditions that never arrive. The loop of silent urgency isn't dramatic, but it is relentless. If you've ever looked up and realized that months or years have passed without the real change you crave, you've felt its effects. And here's where the science meets the subtle. Quantum manifestation operates on the principle of coherence, being a vibrational match for the reality you want to experience. But coherence doesn't come from wishing. It comes from aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions right now, not later. The present moment is the only portal that exists. Every small decision, every micro-action, is a message to the quantum field. This is who I am. This is the reality I'm ready for. There's no neutral ground. Waiting is, in itself, a decision to maintain the current state. For those of us walking this path, this truth isn't always comfortable, but it's liberating. You don't have to change everything overnight. You simply have to recognize that time is always moving, and so are you, whether you choose to step forward or not. So the real question isn't, am I ready? But what am I training my brain and body to expect from me, day after day? The urgency isn't about panic. It's about honoring your timeline, understanding that every moment is a vote for your future self. If quantum manifestation is real, and the evidence says it is, then your next micro-decision carries far more weight than any future plan you haven't acted on yet. Just feel that for a moment. Every choice, even this one, is already broadcasting your next reality. Let's turn inward for a moment. If you pay close attention, there's a voice inside you that always has something to say whenever you consider real change. It's subtle, sometimes almost convincing. You set out to take action, to try something new, and suddenly a quiet objection appears. Who do you think you are? Are you really ready for this? What if you fail again? For many of us, this inner critic isn't loud or abusive. It's more like a background commentator, constantly assessing, doubting, keeping score. It sounds like our own reasoning, but it's not you. Not really. It's an inherited program, running almost on autopilot, designed to keep you safe by keeping you small. Science can map this phenomenon down to the neural level. Research in behavioral neuroscience shows that most of the beliefs and habits that drive us weren't consciously chosen, they were absorbed. During childhood, your brain was in a state called theta, which is the same state used in hypnosis. In theta, the mind is highly suggestible, soaking up the attitudes, fears, and limitations of those around you. Maybe you had a parent who always played it safe, a teacher who discouraged risk, or a peer group that equated standing out with danger. These impressions became hardwired neural pathways, default routes your mind takes whenever you approach the edge of your comfort zone. So when you hear the voice of doubt, recognize it for what it is. Not your intuition, but your early programming, recycled and replayed by the subconscious. Here's where it gets even more interesting. The inner critic is often the strongest exactly when you're on the verge of something meaningful. In neuroscience, this is called the amygdala hijack. As you get closer to stepping into a new identity or taking decisive action, your brain triggers warning signals designed to keep you within the boundaries of what's known. The threat isn't real, it's imagined. But the feeling is real enough to stop most people before they even start. You are not broken for having this voice. In fact, it's proof that your system is working as designed. The difference is whether you let this internal commentary run your life, or whether you begin to challenge it to disidentify from it. And that's where powerful tools from performance psychology come in. One of the simplest, most effective is the 5-second rule, popularized by Mel Robbins. The idea is straightforward. When you feel the impulse to act, count backward from 5, then move. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Why does this work? It interrupts the subconscious habit loop, forcing your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of your brain, online. This brief window of conscious control is enough to override the inner critic's objections, at least long enough to take the first step. Try this the next time your mind starts listing all the reasons you're not ready, not qualified, not vibrationally aligned enough. Recognize that the voice isn't you, it was programmed. It's outdated code, designed for another time, another level of safety. You're here to write new code. You don't need to silence the critic completely, just stop letting it make your decisions. Every time you act in spite of hesitation, you reinforce a new identity, one that chooses movement over perfection, courage over certainty. This is the real secret behind quantum manifestation. The quantum field, as strange as it sounds, responds not to your doubts, but to your decision to act in the presence of those doubts. That's vibrational coherence in action. That's how you break the loop and become the creator of your reality, not just the observer. Let that truth land. The critic isn't your compass, it's your starting point. Beneath the noise of doubt, underneath the programs and inherited patterns, there is another signal, quieter, but unmistakably your own. It's the memory of the authentic self, the version of you that existed before the world told you who you had to be. Many of us forget that this core is still accessible. It doesn't need to be built from scratch. It just needs to be remembered, uncovered, brought back to the surface. You might sense it as a subtle knowing, a quiet confidence that rises up in moments of clarity or when you're faced with something you truly care about. That presence is the real you, resilient, resourceful, creative. The part that quantum manifestation actually amplifies. We're taught to believe that we must be special, exceptionally prepared, or finally ready before we can start something meaningful. But that belief is part of the illusion. What neuroscience and performance psychology both confirm is this: your system is already equipped with everything needed for transformation. You don't need to wait for a cosmic permission slip or a sign from the universe to take action. The tools focus, intuition, adaptability, even courage are already wired within your biology. The more you act from this place, the stronger those neural pathways become, creating a feedback loop that reinforces inner trust and self-direction. Those of us walking this path often forget how much we already know, how much wisdom is embedded not just in our minds, but in our bodies. The urge to seek validation or wait for a breakthrough is understandable, but the truth is, you're already in possession of the resources you seek. Many of us have felt this before, a moment where you moved forward despite fear and realized, in hindsight, that you were capable all along. That's the authentic self resurfacing, reclaiming territory from old programming. It's not about being flawless. It's about remembering you can begin now, as you are, and the quantum field will respond in kind. So, if you're here, if you felt the resonance of this message, you're not alone. We are many, quietly awakening to the fact that the search is not outside, but within. You've never truly lost your power. You've only forgotten to remember it. Imagine, just for a moment, that you could step outside yourself and see two futures unfolding in parallel. One path is built on the choices you're making right now, the small, seemingly insignificant decisions that add up over weeks, months, years. The other is the path you could take if you acted just a little sooner, just a little braver, just a little more aligned with the memory of your authentic self. The difference between these two futures is rarely dramatic in the beginning, but over time, the gap widens until they are unrecognizable from one another. This is the fork in the timeline, and everyone reaches it often, more than once. On one side, there's the version of you who keeps waiting for the ideal conditions, for more validation, for proof that the risk will pay off. On the other side is the you who understands that the quantum field doesn't wait for your confidence. It responds to the coherence of your decision, the alignment of your action, right now. Over the years, neuroscience has mapped what happens when you choose delay over movement. Neural pathways of doubt and inaction become more entrenched. The comfort zone becomes a prison, not a sanctuary. But let's make this real. Think back to a time you hesitated when you felt an urge to act, but something held you back. Maybe it was reaching out for an opportunity, launching a project, or simply admitting what you truly wanted. At the time, it felt safer to stay where you were. But looking back, do you ever wonder what might have unfolded if you'd moved, even imperfectly, instead of waiting for everything to make sense? That is the missed opportunity echo a sensation most of us recognize. It's not there to shame you, but to serve as a wake-up call. Contrast this with the memory of a time you acted before you felt fully ready. Maybe you leapt, made the call, said yes, when every fiber of your being wanted to hide. Those moments might have felt terrifying in the moment, but over time, they become anchor points, the quantum leaps that change the arc of your life. This is the emotional and energetic contrast that quantum manifestation draws out. One future stagnates in analysis and over-preparation. The other expands through decisive, aligned action. Here's the truth: your future self is already waiting on the other side of this decision. The timeline you step into is being shaped by what you choose in this moment, not by what you intend for some hypothetical tomorrow. If you keep waiting for a sign, you'll keep rehearsing hesitation. But if you act, even when uncertain, you create new evidence for your mind, your nervous system, and for the quantum field itself. You become the proof that the process works. So as you listen to this, pause and notice which path you're leaning toward. Is it the one where your future self thanks you, or the one where regret lingers? Which version of you will you meet a year from now, looking back at this very moment? If this message resonates, if you feel the urgency, the pull to act rather than wait, help amplify this insight. Like this video, not as a favor, but as a way of sending a signal to others on this path. Each engagement, each act of sharing, ripples out into the collective field. We become each other's mirrors, reminders, and motivators. This is how movements start, one micro-decision at a time. Let's break a persistent myth that holds so many back. The idea that clarity, confidence, or some magical state of readiness must come before decisive action. In reality, it's the act of moving, of choosing, that produces clarity, not the other way around. Neuroscience and behavioral science both confirm that our brains generate new insights and pathways only when we disrupt our normal patterns. In other words, you don't think your way into a new reality. You step into it, and the knowing follows. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a dark road at night. You can only see as far as your headlights reach. If you refuse to move until you see the entire path, you'll never leave your starting point. But if you take just one step, a little more of the road is illuminated. That's the paradox of quantum manifestation. The energy field doesn't rearrange itself in response to your plans or intentions. It reshapes around your willingness to act, right now, with what you have. Most people wait for proof, for guarantees, or for the fear to subside. But the research is clear. The brain's reward system actually kicks in after you take a step, not before. Action is the antidote to doubt. With every imperfect move, your mind begins to rewrite the story of what's possible for you. The invisible staircase reveals itself, one step at a time. This isn't just spiritual philosophy, it's supported by decades of work in performance, psychology, habit formation, and even the physics of the quantum field. Potential collapses into reality only when you participate in it. If you're listening to this and thinking, "But I don't know what to do yet," consider that the only step you ever need is the next one. It could be as simple as reaching out, committing to a practice, making a phone call, or clicking a link that supports your growth. What matters is the interruption of inertia. Decisive action is not the same as reckless action. It's about intentionality, choosing to move even before everything feels perfect. This is why we created The Trail, a digital guide and structured path designed for those who want to go deeper and stabilize real, lasting transformation. If you've felt that pull while watching this video, The Trail is where you learn how to systematically reprogram your mind, train your nervous system for decisive action, and maintain vibrational coherence in everyday life. The link is in the description. Explore it when you're ready, but don't wait for all the lights to turn green. The truth is, very few ever feel fully ready for real change, and those who do are usually remembering a decision they made, not a feeling they waited for. Let this land. You don't need to see the entire journey. You don't have to predict every obstacle. All you need is to be willing to move with what's in front of you. The quantum field, your biology, and your deepest potential all reward movement over perfection. Take the step and watch as the staircase builds itself beneath your feet. You have everything required to begin right here, right now. Don't give your power to the illusion of readiness. Trust in the intelligence that's brought you this far and choose to become the cause, not just the effect. None of this work happens in isolation. Every choice you make to step forward, every moment you break the pattern of hesitation, sends a subtle but powerful signal into the collective field. Quantum manifestation isn't just about individual gain, it's the rising of a new standard, a shared vibration that ripples out and affects others in ways you might never see. This channel is more than a source of information. It's a gathering place for those who are committed to their own growth, but also to uplifting others. Each insight you receive and every shift you experience here has the potential to create a wave of change far beyond your own life. If this video struck a chord with you, if you feel that subtle nudge, that recognition that you're part of something larger, consider sharing this message. It's more than a click. It's a contribution to the field, a way of amplifying clarity and courage for others who might still be waiting for their sign. We become a vibrational community, each of us choosing, again and again, to bring more coherence, awareness, and possibility into the world. Before you go, choose a word that reflects your current intention. Maybe it's action, trust, alignment, or something uniquely yours, and post it in the comments. By doing so, you're not just declaring a private goal, you're anchoring it in the collective field, strengthening the frequency we're all building together. You were meant to find this message at this exact moment. That's not a line, it's the answer to the loop we opened at the beginning. The pattern, the timing, the nudge you felt to watch was not accidental. It was the universe, through your own awareness, responding to the signal you've been sending, perhaps unconsciously, for a long time. Now, you know, readiness is never something you wait for. It's something you create in every breath, every choice, every step. So let this be your permission slip, if you needed one. Let it be the sign you were hoping would show up. This moment is not a preview, it's the now. The opportunity is here, not in the future, not in theory, but right in the space you're inhabiting, with the resources you already hold. You don't have to wait anymore. Begin now. The quantum field is listening.